It's you versus you, because there is nothing in the world that can stop you. Why? Because Malcolm X said, future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So are we preparing for it? Are we pushing ourselves, pushing our energies, pushing our efforts to achieve the higher grades? Indeed, we need to conquer upon our fears of not losing the good grades, but rather making ourselves, developing ourselves into a good human being. Now wait over here. This is, did I sound dramatic? Exactly, the agenda for today's topic is going to be making you persuade the writing skills, as in what we are going to communicate through purpose, audience, tone, and register. For section 1, directed writing, speech writing, directed writing, speech writing. This is the topic for today. So let's get started and have a look at this picture. I chose this particularly, it's you versus you, because I wanted to basically communicate the very idea of being self-motivated, intrinsically motivated. And for the speech, you really need to be inculcating those values, in yourself, so that you can actually give a true spirit. You can actually communicate a good spirit, for the audience, so that they should be feeling motivated. The opening, when I said Malcolm, I quoted Malcolm X, that, future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So basically what I did, in order to motivate people, we need to, our audiences, we need to use different references. It could be in the form of, quotes, or maybe inspirational stories, anecdotes. So this is exactly the point of our, this session is going to be. And this is a picture, it's called reality check, because we are looking at ourselves. I'm not saying you, I'm saying us, because we as one team, student, teacher, connective learning, collaborative learning, how we are improvising. Please focus over here on this picture. So we get to see ourselves, how much we have excelled so far. Are we revising? Are we actually doing some perspective, detailed note making? Are we basically on the line of preparing for the exams? What I'm doing, I'm using over here rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are at the center of our speech writing. Are we? So when I'm using these rhetorical questions and I'm repeating, that is to achieve an effect of this what we call emphasis. I'm emphasizing upon certain ideas. So number one, if you really need to improve upon your paper 1 skills, so what you need to do is to have a look at this active revision techniques 2020 exam success in paper 1. A lot of people would rather be very general, but I've chosen specifically speech writing for today's topic. Why? Because most of you had requested that we want to go for speech writing, magazine article, and even I felt that way, because it has been the very selective, chosen, it has come almost all these sessions of our exams, but rather dealing with the techniques of the writing are more to be emphasized over here. Let's move on and let's have a look at the speech writing tactics. So the first thing, when I opened up my when I opened up my session, I basically had this purpose to motivate my student. It was very specific, because I don't want everyone to be just listening to me all the time. I wanted you to be engaged with the slides also. So over here, what we get to see is the purpose. The purpose of any speech is usually, like when we talk about 1, 1, 2, 3, when we talk about 1, 1, 2, 3 syllabus code, it is about, being in, either to well inform them, convince them, persuade them, so motivate them. That's what the main, objective of any speech could be. Then we have audience. My set of audience in speech writing is going to be mostly students, or we are talking to the youth. But make sure that you are not forgetting the other people who are around, these audiences of my students. So let's say I have my wider audience as students, and I have my limited audience as parents, teachers, because usually the kind of questions that we have been given is usually about a school ground where you are being chosen in the morning assembly and you have to deliver a speech, or maybe you are in a classroom, May-June 2012 exam paper. Mr. Johnson, the class teacher, had chosen one of the students in the classroom to give a farewell speech, maybe a thanking speech. So there are different genres, there are different varieties of these writing topics. So we've got purpose, we've got audience. Majority, like wider audience, is going to be, what is that? Wider audience, it is going to be my students, and then I need to take care of the teachers, the staff members, and the principal, not to forget. And so it depends in my directed writing how the examiner has posed the question. So I need to underline the keywords. You know what's the basic mistake which the students make? Please be all ears. The basic mistake is, once you read directed writing, you say that, okay, I got this topic, and you put it aside and you just boom on just writing and writing. You just go from the very first till the end. You're like da 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 da. You're just writing. You need to calm down, stop right over there, and need to underline. There's a dire need of underlining the keywords. I'll show you how we're going to do that. Number 3, the third bullet point says register. Register. What is this register? Are we talking about literal register? No, we are talking about the level of formality, informality. Basically, there are 4 types of register. Number 1, we have formal, we have ultra formal as well. We have ultra formal, formal, and then we have semi-formal. Then we have informal. So you need to understand, if I am delivering a speech in the presence of my teacher and my class fellows only, then what is going to be my register? My register is going to be semi-formal, because my wider audience is the students. But again, listen and read very carefully your questions. Sometimes it does require your particular register according to the situation which is going to be about. So if you're delivering a speech, you have been chosen as a deputy head boy, it's a victory speech. That's what usually happens in Wahajasan school system. We are delivering our motivational and inspirational speeches. So the best part about our school is when we are delivering these speeches, and I'm all ears listening to them and making sure that they're being as enthusiastic as they are in the real life as well. So the main idea is usually it is semi-formal, because you are directly in contact with the audiences as you're, again, pupils, students, but not to forget that I'm talking about, my other limited audience as well. Audiences, maximum marks are given, so you cannot ignore them. No, you need to know who are listening to you. Just right now, when I knew that my students will be listening to me, so they must be concerned about the CIEs. So in those first opening 2 to 3 sentences, I made sure that I am connecting with you, giving you some motivational thought of the day. So let's move on. It is going to be tone. Tone has to be loud. Loud in not sense that you are being challenging. You can be challenging also, but keeping in mind that you're confident. Tone should be confident, enthusiastic, escalating, high-pitched sound, so that you are emphasizing upon your important details which you are trying to give out to your audiences. Tone matters. What is tone? Tone means voice. Voice of the speaker. Voice of the speaker must be acknowledged. Then we have tricolon. Tri means 3. The most ignored part in usual speeches, what we get to see is, this is the tricolon. Because what we are looking at, what is this text? What do we mean? Why are you talking about these, 3 colon? What does that mean? It means a sentence, please zoom, a sentence in which there are 3 sets of repetition. It creates a powerful effect, powerful, massive, dynamic effect on an audience. How? For example, look at this one. Tell me and I'll forget. Teach me and I'll remember. Involve me and I'll learn. There is a parallel within the same statement. If you see, I do have a set of repetition. I'm talking about repetition. Repetition, where is it? Tell me. So me is there. Then we have me over here. So I've got thrice. It's like 1, 2, 3. And then I do have, I'll as well. So I'll. So I'm not saying that all the time we need to have, these only these limited types of repetition, but you can go for usually the most cliched one of my in the previous sessions there was this you were my friend, you are my friend, you will always be my friend. I think they're nice, but they're very simple and they're very basic, so we're gonna make sure that we are more experimenting, exploring different expressions, so I need to be very carefully using. If you go back to my opening, you would realize that even I used a tricolon. Are we pushing ourselves, pushing our energies, pushing our fears away? So pushing. What is it doing? It is basically used powerful effect. What kind of powerful effect? The powerful effect like expecting a round of applause. When you're using 3 sets of repetition, you're expecting a round of applause from the audience, acknowledgement from the audiences. For example, Obama's speech, it was on this day, at this moment, at this very hour, America has won. So he used the tricolon, and then he received. I'm not sure that everyone would receive, a round of applause all the time, but yes, there will be an acknowledgement because you're repeating and you are emphasizing on a certain aspect of your, speech. So, purpose, audience, register, tone, tricolon. The best way to learn these 4 criterias are going to be, why don't you make it as an acronym? It is the easiest way to learn. So it's going to be like purpose, part. So you know that it's double T. Purpose, audience, register, tone, and tricolon. 5 fingers, learn it with me. Purpose, audiences, register, tone, tricolon. You need to have initially these 5 basic skills. Hand knowledge is very, very important, as in you need to know things on your fingertips. Let's move on to the next one. Yes, here's a big deal. And what is this about? This is the entire working of my speech. By the way, I'm going to share my slides on my WhatsApp group, the students as well. So don't worry, you'll get it either in the handout form, or I can share it with all of you on the WhatsApp group. So over here, let's have a look. So I am the speaker. Speaker is enthusiastic, highly motivated, ready to teach her students, or you as one student who is ready to gain really good marks in English, perhaps an A star, why not? Tell yourself again and again that I'm gonna get an A star and not below that. It has to be the time when you are sitting down and revisiting the topics. Today's idea is all about revising. I'm trying my best to answer most of your queries. So over here, we've got a speaker. A speaker has to be highly persuasive. I've already talked about this. And then how you persuade them by giving factual statements. Let's have a look over here, factual statements. So the web over here, what does it show? That in order to persuade, please यहाँ पे focus कीजिएगा, persuasive, in order to persuade, I need to use repetition. Repetition type is tricolon because I'm using these similar set of words or phrases, and then I'm building up a crescendo. What do we mean by building crescendo? It's basically when you are using these two techniques by repetition and using tricolon, you escalate your tone. Crescendo works, please listen to this very, very carefully. Crescendo works best, ultimately like epic. It works best when you are in your second bullet point, or perhaps the later. But second middle paragraph is going to be, the second bullet point usually is going to lead you to the ultimate dramatic effect. You are repeating, you are using, I've got samples as well. I'm going to show you where is this, the height of the drama. Crescendo means height of drama. You escalate your tone. It's high pitch. A speaker will be obviously using spoken style. It is going to be using, we can use contractions in it, but not those B/C. Please watch out. We don't want this. The speaker should not use these short forms. We rather want contractions like isn't, etc. or didn't or won't, but we cannot I'm instead of saying I am, because you are basically living up to the expectations of the examiner. You know it. What is a speech writing? It's a spoken text. Now we have factual statements, anecdotes. We've got anecdotes. Anecdotes, I think they're the easiest way to incorporate, embed in your speech. Why? Because they're the real life experiences. The real life experiences come naturally to you. It can be spontaneous, and because most of the speeches are usually scripted, but some of them are very unscripted as well. So I can go for both unscripted speeches or scripted speech. So over here, anecdote is real life example. You can modify it to support your statement. When I said in the beginning, it's you versus you. Why? Because nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. And then over there you give a real life example, or you just, in the most precise way. Anecdote does not mean writing a whole story. You're just narrating it. Please don't do that. We need to be very specific, very briefly mentioning just that as an example, an incident or an experience which you have gained, and that could be worth appreciating over here. We've got rhetorical questions. Are we working towards our grades? Are we pushing our energies? Are we pushing ourselves? So there is an element of repetition, but at the same time, these are rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are basically hooking my audiences so that they are engaged throughout my speech. Tag questions are confirmatory statements. So when you are saying, are we working towards our success? And then we are saying, indeed, yes. Or towards the end, tag question would be, for example, tag question. A question is there, put a comma and attach, isn't it? Or won't you? What I'm talking about over here is 2012 May-June exam paper, speech came. I'll give you a very quick detail about it. In this speech, Mr. Johnson has asked a student from the classroom to deliver a farewell speech to one of the most popular students in the classroom. So a tag question would come like this, that we all will miss you. I hope you will miss us too. Won't you? So I hope you would also miss us, or you would miss us too, won't you? So it's a confirmation, it's a confirmatory statement, and you can easily incorporate, embed into your writing. Then we've got idioms, which are more or less usually ignored, but please make sure that you're using them. So I've got how many? My next slide is only going to be about idioms. Idioms on motivation, idioms on friendship, idioms on being highly motivated. So it's more or less like the same way. What you need to do, at least have a please jot down at least 5 to 6 idioms with you, because you need them as to show more knowledgeable, you're more sophisticated when you're delivering a speech, because it has to be well informed. A speech has to be well informed. So we've got a speaker, persuasive, factual statements. Now repetition, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 sets over here, persuasive, and then factual statements we can give through anecdotes, rhetoric, and tag question and idioms. More or less the speeches are usually argumentative in nature, and that we need to build up, because I'm feeling sorry that we're gonna miss our friend forever, who's moving to London maybe and leaving the school, but at the same time I'm happy for him as well. So you're sorry, but you're happy for your best friend, because he's going to pursue his career, maybe in soccer competition, anything else, so yes, there usually has this argumentative writing styles. So we're going to move on with the next one, idioms related to motivation. You can easily get them in my booklet, and usually, most importantly, you can research it yourself as well, but I have a booklet so in which you have these idioms, so you can definitely lift up at least 5 of them. It should not be overdone in a speech, as if you have swallowed this whole dictionary. You cannot do that. You cannot do this. I'm telling you again and again, I'm highly concerned of my students, 10A, 10B, 10C, 10D, my trailblazer, specifically my grade 11 students. And please listen to this very carefully, because we don't want you to lose any of the marks. Why? Because this is a compulsory question. This is compulsory question, anything can come. So don't play guess games and start revising. Idioms related to motivation. Okay, the first one is look on the bright side. That means be positive. I think most of you know it. It's very simple. We know them, but we don't use them. We need to use them. Next, high flyer. Being a high flyer, I want to wish you good luck too for your best grades in Cambridge examinations. So being a high flyer, someone who has the potential to do very well in education or business. In both of the prospects, it could be used. Sow the seeds for success. Do things, actions that are known to be positive and will help you. It's being sow the seeds of success. This is going to be used. There was another speech in which I needed to talk as a secretary of this project, which was to do with planting more trees in my community. In the recent sessions which I had with Helen Bidder, we realized that they have been quite emphasizing upon the community services, the most important universal themes they were trying to explore in keeping your environment clean. Do as human beings, we have a responsibility towards planet Earth. So yes, more or less they were focusing upon certain, but again, you need to know the features, the style of it, because the question is going to be asking you more or less to deliver the content of the speech. So that creative part will come to you, but keeping in mind the style, the formatting to it. The format is very, very simple. The format could be, because it's a spoken text, so you are writing 3 bullets, 3 paragraphs inverted commas opened and inverted commas closed. What is a word count? Towards the end of the slides, I have shown, I have done as, one final conclusive slide I've made. It is 200 to 300 words. Even as an article will be counted one word. So yes, some of the, related to motivation, you can use it. Now, this was the topic that I was talking, I was relating to 2012 May, June, paper 1. The best responses were able to manage and balance feelings of personal regret for losing a friend, loss of the entire school, class, as in, this, I just told you this question which was about my best friend is leaving forever our school and moving abroad. So the stronger candidates have been able to, deal with these three aspects. Show support for your friends' future plans. So sample of the first bullet that we wrote, it said, what is the name of your friend and where is he moving? What is the name of your friend and where is he moving? And we have done this in the classroom. So I'm repeating myself. We are revisiting this topic, so make sure that you're understanding. Mr. Johnson and friends, good morning to all of you. It's my absolute honor to be standing here and delivering warm wishes to our most popular Mr. Captain on his last day of school. Yes, I'm indeed talking about James Hawkins. Now, please pay attention to hyphen and the three smart use of adjectives: brilliant, smart, and funny, semicolon, who will be moving to London. Did I answer the question? What is his name? James Hawkins. Where is he moving? Moving to London. It could have been very simple if I could have plainly jotted it down, but since I need to stretch it, develop it to my 200 to 300 words, therefore, I needed to, elaborate a little bit. My second bullet point, asked the question, why is he moving? So, James, being an all-rounder, has not only made our school proud in varied extracurricular activities, but also he has attained multiple recognition or appreciations from different, competitions. It could be about anything. So you better develop the second bullet and the third bullet. Please pay attention. This is 2012 May, June, paper 1. If you have done it, then attempt any other for practice and make sure that you are revising these topics. This is 1123 syllabus. And let's move on. So remember that in speech writing, we are paying attention to the word count, which is 200 to 300, yes, minimum three paragraphs. Follow PARTT, the acronym for purpose, yes, audience, register, 4 types of registers: ultra formal, formal, semi-formal, informal. Ultra formal is what? It's like formal, right? We don't use it within our course. It's usually for business meetings, highly exclusive places. We're talking only about our school situation, so it's usually mostly formal and semi-formal or informal. Informal will be those speeches which are only interacted between the students to students, where they share the same equal status. The status matters when you are delivering a speech. Directed writing, time allocation should be minimum 30 to 40 minutes. Why? Because the total time duration of P1 is 1 hour 30 minutes. So 10 minutes under the exam pressure, sometimes it is more or less, we are being practical. For the first 5 minutes, you're looking at the paper, you're writing down your name, you're just comforting yourself, trying your level best to concentrate. So we're given a margin of 30 to 40 minutes approximately. You need to, because English exam is not about, writing in English. It's about time skill, time management, and you need to watch yourself. What did we do in the classroom? We turned on the stopwatch and we timed ourselves. So this way we were able to write down opening paragraphs in the most, let's say practical way. 30 to 40 minutes. Don't forget task fulfillment versus language use. Task fulfillment 15 marks, language use 15 marks. So task fulfillment is like whether you have answered all the bullets in the sequence. You cannot do that. You are answering the third bullet point or the second bullet point. You are going to follow the chronological order. Chronological order means in the sequence. Language use. Language use is your grammar, your punctuation. Examiners harshly deduct marks on punctuation. And if you see over here, we're going back. I've used a number of punctuations like inverted commas open, Mr. Johnson and friends, good morning to all of you, full stop, it's apostrophe, and then we are just moving on. So it's a long sentence. Then I have yes, comma, I'm indeed, hyphen, extra detail. If you are giving extra detail because I need to exaggerate, I need to be biased because I really like my friend and he's moving abroad, so I'm going to use hyphen and I'm going to use 3 adjectives. It gives a list-like effect. Hyphen, after hyphen, whatever we use, it's more or less list-like effect. So brilliant, smart, and funny. Who will be moving to London? James, comma, being an all-rounder. So yes, punctuation matters the most. So on this note, what we have learned is the idea of part, follow part, purpose, audiences, register, tone, and tricolon. Don't forget about that. The tricolon is cherry at the top of your ice cream, and don't forget to have your dessert without it. So on this note, I come to an end of my session. I wish you really good luck. This is part 1. We're going to join you back with another session. So good luck and thank you. I feel like I should be starting with my second session, descriptive writing. I'm so eager to start off.